right. Here we go. How was that? How was that? You can only hear music. I know. All right. This should work. Monday. This happens. Ah, better now. Thank you. It's just a click of the button. At this point, I've got it down pretty good. All right. Thank you for all the comments, friends. We're better now. Thank you, best mod ever. What's going on? Thank you, Philip. I appreciate the reassurances. This is what happens when we go live, folks. I know. What's up? We're letting it. At least I had some music to entertain y'all. Right? I mean, that's pretty good. So thank you. I'm forgiven. Thank you, friends. I appreciate everyone. There we go. Rosemary. Oh, it's so good to have you here. All right. I'm glad. Like, we got that little technical difficulty over. I think this is about this is one. And we just overcame two because y'all don't even know, but we can hear. I'm good now. Happy Monday. Yes, happy Monday. I'm good now. All right, let me go ahead and get ready to go now that we've overcome that. Thank you, everyone, for helping me out through the technical. I'm going to crank down the music a little bit. Oh, all right, just a little bit. You like it? Is the music distracting? Please let me know if the music's distracting. I'm going to ask a question because this has been something that's been on my mind, and this is for cognitive functioning. So I will give you like at least why I'm doing it. But does the music distract from the conversation or from a video? And I was thinking about making it a poll, but I didn't because I don't really make polls. But it's an important question. So I thought, okay, we can drop it in the live. And I also have another question for the chat. And I want everyone to share about the nurse in their life. Okay, I want to hear some stories about those nurses in your life because we're going to be talking about nurses and we're celebrating nurses. And I have a lot to say on this topic, close, near, and dear to my heart. So, all right, welcome Monday. Welcome, friends, to my Monday mayhem. You know, we're here to have these conversations. I want to encourage acceptance and awareness and opportunities for everyone. We love to hear these stories of all the stuff we go through, whether it's mental health, a disability, trauma, because we all share some sort of story. Or we know someone that's kind of going through it. So we're here to provide support and create this community. So this week, I've got the greatest guest. I'm so excited. But before we do that, I better do my visual descriptor because this is something that we do. So I'm a female Latina with brunette with silver streaks. I have olive brown skin, brown eyes, and I'm wearing a red lipstick with a white, gray striped shirt. I have my positive affirmations that I use in my life. I love to share those neon lips and my geometric fox. And if you needed to know where to find that, it's on Amazon, and I have the link. Now, back to the show. This is why we're here. I want to know about the nurse in your life. We're going to talk to one of the most amazing nurses I know. And I'm so excited. We get to learn from the amazing Alexandria Rosa today. She's registered nurse educator, holistic and wellness coach, and she's graduating from doctoral degree in nursing. It's so exciting to hear about this and where she's at and how she manages her family, her full life with her family. She has coped with stress, sorrow from her father's passing and his illness, medical issues, medications, mental health issues. I mean, all the stuff that really affects us that sometimes we don't talk about. We're taught not to talk about. So we're here to shift perspectives, or she wants to talk about shifting perspectives in life and really implementing processes and strategic systems to build a healthy and balanced life. She wants to help people lessen their stress and have more productive and meaningful lives than ever. I absolutely adore her. She's been in the healthcare field for over 18 years, which I don't believe it because she does not. But let's go ahead and bring out Alexandria.
Hello.
All right. Let me just turn off the music because, you know, I'm here to hear you and welcome. I know. Look at all these. Everyone's coming in and saying so exciting
I
for
see
you.
all the comments. Thank you, everybody. I appreciate it so much. You got the best group, girl. You got the best support.
We have the best group. We have the best support. Right? Familia. We're friends. We collaborate. Yeah, and that's a cultural thing that we can like share with everyone, right? Like that feeling of creating family and having true connections and true bonds and really being through the thick of it when stuff gets rough. Because so you've been through a lot.
Yeah, definitely have been through a lot with my personal life, with my professional life, with all the things. I mean, with life, and nobody is immune to any of that. And I think that's such a common misconception that is thought about me, that people see me and see like my yes and the positivity and all of that, and they think my life is perfect and my life is great and she must have had it so easy and whatever else people come up with. And it's so not the case, and it's so true with so many people. You know, there's such a backstory, and you just have to get to know the person and talk to the person and get to know them on a real level. And that's what I try to convey across with all of my videos and all of my messaging is I'm a real person, I'm a real mom, I'm real, and I just want to share what I've gone through and what I'm doing now and what I'm doing to help people now. So
great. I know. I mean, it's so exciting to just really talk about all the things you're doing and what you will be doing in the future and your journey, our journey, life's journey, right? So we're here again to talk about all this stuff. And, you know, we're going to start with, of course, I got the titles. You've been a registered nurse, right? Nurse educating other nurses with a holistic, you really believe in a holistic purpose, approach, and wellness, whole body wellness, head to toe. And you've been working hard as a student. So you're going to tell us all about this and where you're at with going to school, because I know it's an exciting time for you. So
I know. Yes. So my official day where I will be officially Dr. Rosa is going to be May 7th. So that's going to be my official day. So I'm so excited. And it's like Mother's Day, like all the things. It's just so fitting. It's so perfect. And yeah, I'm a registered nurse. I've been in healthcare, like you said, for over 18 years. I've been an LPN or I've been a nurse aide, a state tested nurse aide, certified nurse aide. There's all kinds of different names for it. Tech, nurse tech, whatever. I've been that. I was an LPN, I was an RN, and got my bachelor's degree, and then went on and finishing up my doctorate. And so like I've been in school forever. It feels like I've always been going to school, and I've always been raising a family and having a life and working during all of those years of my life. So I got really, really focused on I got things in my life that I want to do. So I need to have steps. I need to have systems. I got to stick to them. I got to do things so that I can be successful and do the things that I want to do, take care of my family, how I want to take care of them, and be able to make an impact in patients' lives and students' lives. And that's where I really picked up on the whole holistic thing. Like it's the brain, it's your body, it's keeping everything in balance, aligning all the things and doing what you can in a healthy and sustainable way, because life is the long game. Like we want to do things that are going to keep us going for the long term and in a healthy way, because we only got one body. Only got one body. And if you don't got that body, you're going to be homeless. So taking care of your body the best you can, and just teaching other people about that and about what I've gone through inside of my physical body and the things that I've done and the things that I've done up here to be successful and to get to where I'm at right now.
Okay, so I mean, I love how you explain that and how you share that. And I want to kind of continue that because although you've been medical in the medical field for so long, your approach is so holistic and you really can give so much great information because you can see it. You can provide more than just the medical, and you can really you know, and I think that in itself is what really makes you so different, and that it's not the traditional medical model that, you know, you're going to get from Alex. I almost want to say Dr. Alex. I'm like,
oh, it's okay. We could call it into the universe, honey. It's fine.
Wow. I'm trying to respect that title. Do you use a PhD?
No, it'll be Alexandria Rosa, DNP, comma, RN, comma, NE after it. That'll be me.
Somebody take notes. Anybody notes, please? Okay. So that's good. That's great. I mean, and this is it. I mean, are you going to be done with school for a while?
You know, I want to say, like I'm going to take a break, but probably not, because I seriously have like this addiction to learning and always wanting to learn things and be always knowing what is coming next and what's the next thing that's out there, because things change so rapidly. And I mean, now with technology coming into healthcare so much, I mean, it's like endless, the stuff that's happening. And that's why I've like really jumped into like live streaming and joined this whole community, this whole familia that you guys have going on. And you guys have just like welcomed me, like honestly, and I want to take like a minute to say that honestly, like you guys have like welcomed me so much and supported me. Like I can't even say enough thank yous. Like thank you. Oh. And I see such a need for that in healthcare education, in education and in healthcare education, especially because we're going so digital with, virtual visits and telehealth and people being on camera and accessing technology. And I'm like, this is where we need to go. And this is where I found where I can teach the most people, because I love teaching and sharing what I know in a very accessible and easy to explain way is what I like to do. I like to just kind of break down all that medical jargon and all that nonsense that most people don't understand what people are telling them. And I like to break it down in ways that are very easy for people to understand, and then translate that into, well, how are you going to do this in your real life? Because you're a real person. How are you going to actually do this? You're a mom with a bunch of kids. You're a busy nurse executive. You're a doctor. You're a therapist. You're whatever role that you have. You're a business owner. I connect with so many other female business owners, like how do you do all of this? And we can do it. We can do it in a healthy, sustainable, holistic way. It's very possible.
Oh God, I love it. So many exciting thoughts are running through my mind. I'm trying not to jump in. You have a way of balancing it all. And I mean, people make references that you don't sleep, that you sleep with one eye open, like all kinds of things. And you continue to pursue education and to feed your mind so you can like feed your community, and I think that's just so beautiful.
Oh, I love the way you just put that. I love the way you just said that. Yeah, honey, I do sleep. I am definitely, that's the other thing. People think I'm like such a morning person because they see me smiling in the morning when I'm like going to clinical or going to the hospitals or something. I am not a morning person whatsoever. And that's probably one of my other biggest tips to people is you figure out where are you most productive? When do you shine? When are you going? When are your gears going? That's what works for you. And I know for me, I'm really not totally functioning till later on in like this time and towards the evenings, because I am up pretty late most of the time. And I mean, when I'm allowed to be more flex with my schedule, you better believe I am very flex with that schedule.
I like that. And that's real. I mean, that you have to do it. That's the real, suggestion, right? Yeah. Listen to your own clock, listen to your own like internal like reading, right? It'll give you those digital signals. It'll give you those signals. Okay, let's say hi to the chat because there's some cool people here. I mean, everybody's cool, but there's like always cool people here. But what's going on, Mackenzie? Shout out, you're the best mod ever. I know you're jotting down those initials. So yeah. Let's see, Chris, what's going on? I want to say hi to you and Kenny D. I don't think I gave you some love and said hello to you. And Jamisha, girl, yes, hello. Hey now.
I see your stuff. Yeah, very good. Yes.
I love it. Shout out to you, my dear. Yes. And Chris Hennessy, got to give shout out to Chris because he comes through. So love the support. Rosemary, I saw you. Okay, and Veg Rocker over on Twitch. I saw Teresa pop through. I can't believe it. I can't believe it, Teresa. Where you been? It's been like a year, girl. Like a year. Like, I miss you. I miss you. I know you're doing amazing things. So thanks for popping over on Twitch. I love Twitch. All right. Mackenzie says that she's a morning person, and I'm not. I'm a night person, and I always have these internal conversations like, you know, people say you got to usually be in the morning, you're most best in the morning, and be active and do this in the morning, do everything in the morning. And I'm like, oh, I like the moonlight. I am guided by the moon.
Yes, honey. Yes. Get that moon tan happening for sure.
Yeah. Yes. I mean, look, and I was just looking at, listen, I'm going to get off topic, but looking at our color, I know it's been a minute. I'm like, I look a little bit whiter than you. Like for my olive skin, you got more caramel. Like
I do enjoy the caramelly color.
I love it. It's sweet though.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, and I see Mackenzie's show in the mornings because I'm dropping off the kids. So I try to hop on and I see what she's doing on there. And I try to comment and stuff. But yeah, morning person, I'm forced to be the morning person, but I will definitely support any other morning person.
Yeah. No, you do you, boo. Yeah, you do. Like, okay, and both of y'all stream daily. Like that's just another thing. Like we haven't really talked about, but again, this goes back to your balance and figuring out what works for you. Is that sustainable? Would that be sustainable for me? No. Yeah. Listen, I could do a 30-day video challenge with Junaid, and I'm sorry, I'll call myself out. I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
But you and like Mackenzie, like just every day, you really giving out that information, sharing with your heart, really giving as much value as you can, and giving such really good information. I learned from both of y'all. I mean, I learned from so many streamers, but considering that, you know, the conversation's here with us.
Yeah.
It's really nice. And that's why I love how you've embraced streaming to share your message and your purpose, and how you can bring like all this expert information and strategies to people's lives. And, you know, it's impacted me, but we're not going to talk about me. But I mean, I do want you to share about that and those videos you make, and how you share these processes and strategies to help people with the balancing of their life and figuring it all out, and not feeling overwhelmed and the stress that can totally destroy us, right? Really knock us out.
Yeah. You know, and kind of going back to what you said at the beginning, like overcoming a lot of personal, internal challenges that I had. And, you know, I grew up very much the wallflower, not wanting to be seen, not wanting to be heard. And people don't ever believe me now when I tell them that. But that was very much who I am. I'm very much an introvert, but I very much understand the power of teaching and sharing your message and connecting with other people. So that's kind of where I tap into that part. But I'm very much like a solitary person. Like I enjoy my personal space and my personal time. I claim that space around myself. I set those boundaries where I can do that for myself. And I didn't do a good job of that growing up at all. Very much the giver, very much just wanting to please people and just to kind of get on by. And that's how I lived so much of my life, and so much of my life wanting to impress other people or caring what other people thought. Oh my goodness. But you know, you're young, you're changing, you're growing. But I know that even as adults, a lot of us still deal with that. And it happens time to time too. I can't even say that sometimes I don't even feel like that, because it does. But it's, what are you going to do with that? Once those thoughts kind of start coming into your head, what are you going to do? How are you going to change what you're telling yourself? How are you going to change that script, those thought patterns that are flowing? Because all of those thoughts, they go right down here to your heart. And they start releasing all these emotions and feelings and impacting all those other parts of your body, your physical health and everything else. And I mean, I did have so many health problems. I was like super overweight. I had high blood pressure. I had anxiety and panic attacks, like ridiculous. And I finally got to a point where I just said, I don't want to live this life. I can't be a mom that I want to be. I can't be a teacher how I want to be. I can't be a nurse like this. Like so much internal conflict with all of that. And once I was able to kind of get at peace with all of that and really start working on myself internally and doing so much of that work, that's where I started seeing so many things change in my life and so many positive things. And the weight was coming off, and the medications were slowly, you're off of that one, now you're off of that one. And every day making changes and being intentional and being self-aware. All those little steps just added up over time. And it's taken time. And I'm so proud of where I am today, like where I sit with you. I'm so proud of that. And I totally embrace all of it. And I love who I am. I'm having so much fun in my life now and so much excitement. And it's just more than I ever could have imagined. But it's all because I took that first step to just realize that I needed to do something and that I actually did something about it.
That's important. And I hear that in so many stories. So many stories. It's like you have to take that ownership in your mindset and really figure out what's the first thing you're going to do, and know that it takes time and little by little, and not so yeah, I mean, it's so important. And I think that, and I've shared this with you, it's just how sometimes we don't, and Mackenzie even alludes to this, for her it was like boundaries. So she wasn't taught boundaries when she was younger, and I've talked to you about like, oh, if my parents would have taught me that, like about planning the day ahead and making sure everything's like ready to go, so the next day I'm not scrambling, like running out the door, like, oh, I forgot to pack this and I forgot, but doing my, so it's the things that you don't realize, like when you're small, and then when you hear it from someone, it can just make such an impact. And it's like that strategy, that's something I was missing. I can implement that today, and it can really start to change my situation, right? In a capacity, in a way I want to go, So, I love it when I listen to like your daily dose of spice, and you're really sharing these strategies, these tips, these takeaways. And it's like, oh, I didn't know that one, right? Like the badge, making your own name tag, like, don't use that. Hello, my name is. So like that just runs with me because it makes you stand out. It's great for networking. It's an icebreaker piece. I mean, there's just the way you present it. Oh, and before I forgot, I remembered one of the things I wanted to say, because you were talking about how saying things in a simple format, in a simple way, right, to educate people, and simpler is better. So number one, that is accessible, right? Like that really makes things accessible, and that's the way we want to go. And we see that that is so important now for businesses, for companies, to really to present their information in those types of ways that are accessible, that are easy to understand. And it's just critical. And you're doing that, and you're teaching other educators how to do that, which is incredible. It's like you don't have to, it's okay, you can be a colloquialist. It's okay. Like, you have to talk in those plain terms to really connect with people and to help them. And we could get into like conversations about the economy and education, the differences of, but for you to be an educator, teaching other professionals, and really, then the same goes for your children, like talking to your children and giving them that autonomy and teaching them along the way. It's incredible, girl.
And that's why I like teaching this, and like so much of what you do, and of what you do that I love, and that what I like fell in love with, girl. Look at this. Is, normalizing conversations around these types of topics. Because I know in my community, like I'm Latina, you're Latina, and where I'm at, I still live in the same neighborhood I grew up in, honestly. And around here, when I was growing up, nobody was talking about holistic this, or, make sure you eat your vegetables, or do this, or, talking about going out and exercising, or talking about your feelings. Like nobody talked about that kind of stuff. And they look at you crazy. Like, what are you talking about? And now it's like, I want to normalize the conversation around this and have people talking about it. And so me being on doing these live streams, it's like I'm talking to, and that's the amazing thing, right, about video. You're talking to people all over, your neighbor next to you and the neighbor a bunch of states away from you. You're talking to all these people. And so I want to just start people hearing these words about holistic and health and wellness and taking care of yourself and healthy and sustainable, all of those things, and really start getting it into their head. So it's a new word that's in there, that's going to be floating around in there, that maybe something will trigger that to pop up again. And they're going to start to think about that and look more into it. And as long as I can make people aware that these other things are out there, then I feel like I'm doing a service to them, so that they know that there's another option for you. There's healthier ways to cope with your stress and your anxiety. There's healthier things that you can do for you, which in turn you can do for your family. And start talking about this in front of your children, in front of your nephews and your little cousins and whoever, and talk about that. Like my 4-year-old says, I'm going to do my meditation. And he goes and he sits down and does his little thing. And he talks about all these kinds of things. And he's 4. And he says, set the timer, Mom. I'm going to go do this, because he knows that I'm very into time blocking and scheduling my time and doing things in that way so that they get done. So he says, set the timer. I'm going to go do this. And he runs upstairs and runs away from me. And then it's like, he knows, and he only knows because I'm the one that influenced him. And I talked about this and normalized the conversation in our house about it. So just making people aware, and it's okay to talk about your feelings, just like everything that you present. It's okay to talk about this kind of stuff. It's real life stuff that we all deal with. We all deal with it.
And if you don't know, ask. It's okay to ask. It's okay to not know everything. I love saying, like, I don't know every topic. It's frightening sometimes having these conversations. You don't know, but it's important enough to talk about.
Yeah, exactly.
You know that other people are like, well, I kind of want to know too, right? Like, how do we, and if not now, then, we can always follow up later, right? But the conversation started, and I heard it here and I've heard it over there. And it's like, this is important. We need to pay attention to these things. We need to pay attention to our reactions, our feelings, and I want to talk about the little ones, because, this is part of holistic, and it goes from our families. And Teresa, you're a mom, so I know, she's got her kids, and so for me, it's like the butterfly feeling, like, that little, and I've taught him, like, that little butterfly feeling, like the feeling of like love, or the feeling of like something like really, and so starting to understand that, or the feeling, like the gut feeling when something doesn't feel right, like, oh, that doesn't feel good, right? And understanding there's a word and there's a reason for that, and that respect that, right? And those are things I wasn't taught as a kid. Like when we're little, it's like, shh, be quiet. Right. Exactly. That was me. I was a talker. If you didn't, you couldn't tell. But Spanish people were talkers. Yeah. And church, right? The church is such an important thing where we're supposed to seek out a help from the church, and we're supposed to turn to the church and our faith. And yes, that's an important component, but it's not the whole. Right. It's not everything. So I love, again, it goes back to you saying, no, there's so many other pieces and components to it. That's the reality of it.
That's the reality. Yeah. And allowing people to express. And that's the other thing that I like to teach when talking. Well, I didn't even say what spice was, but I'll say it in a minute. But
say it now.
So spice is like how I approach like doing an assessment, like, because I'm thinking medically and nursing wise. So I'm thinking head to toe assessment. I made spice to be the head to soul assessment. So thinking about somebody in a holistic way. So the S stands for spirit, and the P stands for physical. The I stands for insight, that's self-awareness and all of that we were talking about. The C stands for career, and the E stands for emotion. And so those are all of like the kind of domains and elements that make all of us up. And that's how I look at it in a holistic way. And so, I just did a couple of videos about the Hulk and anger management, and talking about different ways to just talk about your anger, recognize it, what it's doing in your body physically, how it can be harmful if you let it go unchecked. And one of the things I talked about was, it doesn't matter if you're an adult or a little kid, finding a way to creatively, and I know Mackenzie's going to pick right up on this, finding a creative way to release that and to let that go in a healthy, safe way. That's all I talked about, releasing anger in healthy and safe ways. Getting paper and getting crayons or drawing or painting, letting that go. Like when you have that butterfly feeling, well, what does that look like? Can you visually draw this for me? What does this look like? And sometimes that will give you even more about a sense of that emotion and that feeling, and you're able to talk about it more freely and able to explore that a little bit more. And that just helps be more in tune, the eye of spice, right? Looking within, and it helps you just become so much more in tune with who you are and how these things are outwardly being expressed, because you might see it one way and another person sees it an entirely other way. And it's about being open-minded and open to seeing things in new ways.
Oh, wow. Yes. So I got your website here.
Yay.
People can check out your website. You've got your information there. I love it. Teresa, I see this other Teresa, TJ. Hi, TJ. Let me see what TJ says. Teresa says, yes, let's talk about hearing loss, equality, and inclusion, since it affects 1 in 5 people. I love it. Starting with moms, helping them understand loud noise can wipe out their hearing, protect hearing, inclusion for loss. Teresa, thank you for sharing that. Yes, I appreciate that. Definitely, that's something, I love to talk about, and I always love to include when we're talking about, our audience, or when we're talking about what we're creating, or when we're, doing something, and just definitely being inclusive to individuals that are, around us. And I love bringing up these topics,
Yeah, and her comment actually goes perfectly with so much of healthcare education. You as the nurse have to talk to some patients who cannot hear. How do you communicate with them? How do you provide care for them for 12 hours in a shift? How do you do that? And how do you shift from one patient to the next, and thinking about being inclusive? And that's one of the things that I love teaching my nursing students about. You got to get to know your patient. What is going on with them? How can you best take care of that patient? Because everyone is unique.
And being open to different styles of communication, not just assuming that communication is one thing or this thing, what it looks like, right? Talking. Exactly. So, this is great. Let me see. Anger. We talked about anger. Anger used to be my strongest emotion, not always safe. Writing helped release so much. Yeah. It's just so much. Speaking of anger, and I know that we can talk a little bit about this. I wanted to talk about nurses and what was going on in the news recently. Because you wanted to bring this up, and I didn't want to forget.
We were talking. We were talking earlier, and I was on LinkedIn, and I saw somebody else had posted that a nurse in California last week had shot themselves and committed suicide right in the hospital, right next to the emergency room. I think they were an emergency room nurse, and I think it was a male. I think it was a guy that committed suicide in the hospital. Yeah. And I just wanted to take a moment because, it's going to be Nurses Week pretty soon here that we're going to be talking about. And, it's nurses give so much of themselves all day, every day. And it's so important to reach out for help. And just like you're always saying on your platform and providing so many great resources for people, get help. Don't wait till you're to that point. Find help, get help, reach out, connect with people, connect with a great community. People are hurting, healthcare workers, any frontline worker is hurting. And I know this has been even spilling over into teachers and in education. I mean, everybody is so stressed to the max with everything going on in the pandemic. And now we're kind of even going into a whole different phase post-pandemic and all of that. And things are just so uncertain, and people deal with uncertainty in different ways. And it's not always the healthiest way. So learning ways that are healthy to cope with that uncertainty, to help with that stress, that anxiety, that doubt, the regret, whatever it might be, just finding support and healthy ways to deal with that without having to resort to taking your own life in such a violent way. And nobody's immune to it. Nobody is immune to it. And we always need to be aware of those around us and what's going on in their lives.
Don't be scared to talk about it. Don't be scared to ask.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you have to be direct. You know, you can save a life that way. So it's better to ask than not to ask.
Yep. Yeah.
So, and you never know who's having those thoughts. There may be signs, but, you know, unfortunately, a lot of us don't really know the signs. But still, it's just better not to just pretend like nothing's going on and just to ask. Because,
yes, exactly.
You know, at least you're showing you care. So, and I put the
Mm-hmm.
Lifeline. So I put the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline. I have to mention it, 1-800-273-TALK, which is 8255. Or you can text hello or NAMI to 741-741. So there's different ways. They also have a hearing impaired one line. So they have different ways to communicate. I think I have that line, the number, but
That's awesome.
Yeah, and they have the veterans line. So even veterans, I mean, you just never know. Like, and educators, like you said, children now. It's everywhere. But we're kind of getting off topic. I just, you know, we can talk about it, bring attention to it. It's really important, and we want to, you know. So try to be compassionate and caring, especially nurses, healthcare workers. So you know what? Let's ask that question again to the chat because we have a lot. Let's talk about those nurses in our lives.
Those
I want to hear the story. So I'll share mine. My stepmom is a nurse. My cousins are nurses. Like an influence of nurses. My sister, she's like, oh, I'm going to be a nurse. And I'm like, what? You're not really cut out. And I think sometimes we get the influence of because everyone else is a nurse. I need to go into the medical field. So that's kind of the story about my family. But you know, a lot of nurses, and they love it. And for me, I knew that wasn't for me. I'm like, no, I love more of like the not bodily fluids and
not the stuff. Yeah, my daughter has no interest. None of my kids have any interest in being in healthcare at all. So just me. And I'm the only one in my family too. I'm the only one in my like immediate family that is in healthcare. So yeah, definitely was blazing a trail that I didn't know anything about.
Look how far you've gotten though to pursue like a doctorate. So what is that true, like the education of like what? Just break it down for me.
So the doctorate that I got, I went the health systems leadership track. So it's all about health systems organizations and how you lead those organizations. And actually, when I started my program, it was supposed to be a 3-year, but it turned into a 4-year because of COVID. And when I had started that program, I had not even thought about wanting to do any type of coaching or training or doing anything on my own. And it actually, so much of this program that I took through my school was focused on with the leadership, with the coaching and with communication. And actually my whole doctoral project was on multidisciplinary rounding. So bringing a group of people together to communicate better, to have a better outcome for patients. So that's what I've spent all these last years just in all of that. And it's been so amazing. And so much of when you get to that doctorate level with this is it's how do you lead others? How do you translate that so that you can motivate them to make these huge system-wide changes? And it's like, how can you reach that one person? And how can you take all of the research and all the data collected and boil it down? And kind of what I do, like boil it down so it's easily accessible so that other people can actually use it in their different healthcare organizations. And then I also got my nurse educator certificate at the same time that I was doing this. So teaching other nurses and, teaching them in the classroom, teaching them in the hospitals, that's what I love the hands-on, and I love doing the simulation lab and pretending and making little things. If you follow any of like my Facebook or Instagram, you'll see pictures of different labs that I put together for students. And I'd like to just try different things, because just like you talk about, it's all about inclusion and accessibility. Not everybody learns the same way. You got to try different ways to reach every different student. And like, I teach adult learners, and sometimes those are the hardest to reach, because they are the most like, I only learn this way, and I'm terrible at this and I'm terrible at that, and I'm never going to be any good. Like, it's very hard to get through to adult learners. It takes a lot more, like, you got to work a lot harder sometimes to get them to open up and open their mind to learning and doing things in a different way. So I try all kinds of different ways of approaching topics and introducing things. So that's kind of my life and what I do every single day. So
I think that's great. That's so important, because everyone learns differently. Everyone retains information, can get engaged in different ways. So, and to keep it spicy, keep it fun, keep it entertaining. Even children, right? Like, that's the way they learn, through play. And I've asked those questions, like, if it feels like I'm playing with something and I'm having fun while I'm learning it. And I'm like you, like, I wanted to pursue a PhD, like I wanted to pursue a doctorate. I didn't get that far. I didn't finish my master's. I finished all the coursework. I just dropped off at the end, internship time, but that's a whole nother story. But I enjoy learning, and I enjoy expanding my mind, and then sharing that information, and then making it fun for the learner, making it fun for whether it's like you're doing it in groups or one-on-one, just different types of ways of doing that, and educating and sharing with others. And even like the live stream, right? Like, we do it to share information, at least encourage people to research, people to get their opinions, go to their doctors, look for clues, pay attention to what they're feeling, what they're seeing, what they're hearing, just to be a little bit more aware, because we're trying to help our communities. We're trying to, and for me, it is about those little things that we can do every episode, like one or two things that it's like, oh, that was really important. Like, about the blood pressure cuff that Dwellin was talking about. I think it was, right.
I'm
like, now, and I'm like, oh my God, I need to get a blood. I didn't realize like how important and vital to like your knowing your vitals, like that vital is, and how life-saving it can be. Because I've always heard you have amazing blood pressure. So but those,
what is it?
But the information helps, and it saves, and people retain it, is my point. Okay, give me a second. I'm going to jump out, and I'll be jumping back. But I want you to talk about those life-saving strategies, like why it's important for us to learn about these, and like why you share it, because people like me really listen, and I'm like, okay, that's, I got to pay attention to that, or pick one of those up. So take it away.
Okay. So and I think I even saw in the chat, one of the ladies had wrote, how do you do block scheduling if you have different kids, different age kids, and school starts, school finishes, whatever it might be. And so I have 3 kids. I have a 17-year-old, a 14-year-old, and a 4-year-old. And so I love block scheduling because it's so flexible. And I think sometimes people look at scheduling and writing things down as so rigid and so like cold is kind of the only way I can describe it. And I look at it as it is so freeing. It makes me able to free up all this space in my brain and allow me to just lay out my life and design it how I want to design it. And I'm in control. I don't let the days and the things run me. I decide where they're going to go and how it's going to go. And so that was such a change that I had to make mentally for myself. And once I started doing that, things just flowed so much easier. And I was able to be so much more productive in my life. And that's why people, like, the number one question I get is, Alex, how do you do all that stuff? Like, how do you do it? And it's just, I am just very intentional, and I found systems that work for myself, and block scheduling has been the one thing that has entirely saved my life, my sanity, everything. And you can use it to schedule like anything. in your life. You can schedule your school, your kids, your work. If you have I have my side business on there, the coaching practice and everything. I've got that on there. I've got, when I had to go to clinical hours, I had that on there. Doctor's appointments, paying bills, going to the grocery store, ordering groceries, like you can fit all of that and lay it out very nicely. And honey, I was doing it when I first started with just a notebook and a pencil or whatever. And that's how I started. Now I've kind of spiced it up a little bit now, but in the beginning, when I started, that's all I did. And it takes a little bit to kind of find what works for you. But the great thing is that you can adjust it as your seasons of your life change. And like right now, the kids are getting ready to go into summer. What is your summer going to look like? If you have no clue as to the last day of school and what are you going to do the next day? Like, is that you? Well, you need to start looking ahead, because that's going to happen in a couple weeks. Kids are going to be out of school, and what are your days going to look like? And instead of saying, what is life going to do to me? No, you say, what am I going to do? How am I going to how do I want my summer to look? Because how many summers have you let roll by and you didn't do nothing? The whole summer that you thought you were going to do. It happens to all of us. So being very intentional and knowing that the kids are going to be out of school. So what am I going to do? Where are they going to go? Do I have to work? Do I have to take them to the babysitter? Who's going to pick them up? Who's going to make dinner? Where are we going to eat dinner? Like, who's going to order groceries? Who's going to take care of the dog? Like, all of those things you want to be thinking about and laying out. And you are the only one who knows your life the best. So you need to figure out my tips are always, what is important to you? What are your priorities that you need to get done? Put in all the hard steps, all the things that have to get done. Like, you got to go to work. The kids got to go to the babysitter, things that are hard stop. You better put you in that schedule. Let me tell you, I better see your name in that schedule. Then you can start putting everybody else in all the other things. But that is the one thing that so many people lack, is putting themselves in their schedule. That is such a huge priority, and such a thing that people wait till the end to do and fit in. I'm going to do my self-care here. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. No, that comes first. That comes first.
So how much time do you suggest? Like 30 minutes? How much time?
It's whatever you want it to be. Whatever you want it to be. The way that you can think about it is this. When you got to think about yourself like a store. You cannot be open 24/7. When do you open? When do you close for the day? So when do you open up to the world? So anything before that, that's your you time. That's you. Whatever you want to do with it, that's what you want to do with it. But when do you open up to the emails and the text messages and the DMs and the live streams and everything else? When does that happen for you? And then there needs to be a point where you turn that off and the store closes up and you're not accessible and available in those ways. And you're only available to yourself and to your family or whatever it is that you want to do. That's what you do. So that's how I want people to start thinking about themselves like that. When do you open up and when do you close? And keep those firm, keep strong in those. When you decide that, stay with it.
Yes. I love time blocking. I do that. I think it's great. So, I mean, but you got lots of good strategies. Okay. Have I covered everything? I mean, we got like 10 minutes left. I mean, I know we started a little late, so it's technology, right? It is what it is. That's okay. Mindset is such an important thing for you. For you personally, when did the mind shift? Like, when did you realize, and how can you encourage others to, like, it takes work. It takes internal work to just be like, okay. But I mean, there's anything to kind of encourage us to implement, like put it on the calendar is like the first step. Is it really that simple? Like, make the time for it?
I'm such a firm believer in writing things down, and it seems so simple and people are like, but it really does. And doing something to make yourself accountable. And we're so like peer pressure driven, and that's just because we're we're people. And so putting stuff out there just makes you be more accountable and writing it out. And like, I'll give an example for myself. And this is why, like, I keep it real. Like, I tell people I'm a real person. So when I wanted to start doing my live streams, I was so hesitant about picking a time and doing it every day. Like, I could not, I had such, like, something was just internally holding me back. And then one day I just was messing around on Canva and I said, I'm going to make up a little flyer. I'm going to say, this is my show and this is what time I'm going to go live, and I'm going to put it out there. Because if I put it out there, then I'm going to have to do it.
Then you're accountable to yourself
to be there. And so I did it. And then it was just that push. And it was so simple of making a flyer and then putting it up online. But I did it. And then after that, I was like, holy shit, I got to stay and make sure that I'm showing up. And then I was great. I was lucky enough to get my first sponsor for my show. And then I felt even more pressure about wanting to show up and wanting to be even more, because I had a sponsor and somebody was paying me to do the show. And so just those little things, and they seem like they would not make a difference, but they totally do. They totally help you just take that next step and stay committed to things. And everybody's got different triggers. Everybody's got different buttons that are going to be pushed in different ways. And you just have to be open to trying those different things and just taking that first step and just doing it and seeing
and knowing why you're doing it, right? Knowing why you're doing it, because that holds you, right? I mean, for me, it's the same thing. I'm like, I put it out there. We're gonna be there. I better be there.
Yeah.
So I mean, and it's like to slide back, but
and when you love. And just like you love what you do. You love what you talk about. You're so committed to this mission and this vision you have about, removing the stigma around topics and making things accessible to people and inclusion and building a community. And when you're so passionate about that, if you don't show up, you feel terrible. You feel like you've let people down, and it's not incongruent with your values and who you are. So it's the same thing with me. Like, I love being online, and I love supporting all my fellow creators and you and everybody else here. I genuinely love doing it. I love getting in there and supporting everybody. I love supporting people, and because I know that they're showing up because they feel called to do so. And I want to support them in that, to show them that, yeah, honey, I support you. I see what you're doing, and I'm all about it. So that's why I just keep showing up and I keep doing it, because I want to educate people. I want to share things with people. I want to improve their lives and teach them things that will really help them in real life. So that's exactly why I do it.
Oh yeah. So much goodness. I was just thinking of Anthony when you said that. I know he was here a minute ago, or he's been through, but you just never know, like, all these individuals that are building these businesses, these missions, these communities to really enhance the quality of life of others. For me, like, to give space for other people to grow and to, like, have dignity and to pursue like something beyond what's they're being limited by, whether it's an illness or some sort of mental issue or something. But just to know, like, there's opportunity. You deserve that opportunity. You deserve the to be able to go and do that. And how can we help you? How can we support you? How can we find you the resources? So it's just, you're right, and so for each person finding their own way, but it is a mindset thing. Like, if your mind, if you're not really ready to do it, you're not going to do it.
Right. Yeah. And only you will know, and when it happens, it'll happen at the time it's supposed to happen, and that's just how the universe works, and that's just how it is. And some people will never, maybe some people will never have that live stream or that podcast, but there's probably some other way that they are impacting somebody and touching somebody's life and making a difference in some other way. And that's what's amazing, is we all have our different roles to play. And we're all doing what we're supposed to be doing, how we're supposed to be doing it, when we're supposed to be doing it, whether or not we understand the reason. It's not for us, We're talking about the S of spice right now, honey, the spirit part.
Oh, did we cover? Wait, well, before we wrap up, did we cover all the letters? Okay, just say it again. S is
So S is
spiritual.
spirit. Yep. P is physical. So we talked about health and bodies. Yep. I, insight. We talked about the mental and being self-aware, taking responsibility, that self-ownership. We talked about all of that, being open-minded. Career, we touched on some career things. We talked about my career, your career, what people are doing. I'm trying to think of what else I could kind of say about, with career, a lot of what I talk about, and I just actually ended last month talking about career, and I talked about a lot about career wellness, and not a lot of people have heard that term, career wellness. So being well in your career, and, wellness in your workplace. And I did a series on triaging for mental wellness in the workplace, and it's everybody's responsibility. And especially if you're like in that leadership position, making sure that you're caring for all those people that are under you and that are working with you, and that multidisciplinary team, right? All those people working together for that common goal, making sure that they're okay and feel supported in a safe place, right? And I love that you use the word dignity. I love that word because you do provide, and I think it's our responsibility as well, like especially if you're live streaming and having guests, like you want to give them dignity, you want to provide them that safe place where they are proudly and easily flowingly sharing that experience that they're having in a dignified way. And I think that's so important because so many people feel that lack of self-worth, and they just don't feel strong in that area, so they don't want to share. But I love that you said dignity, because you do exactly that.
Thank you.
And the emotion part, we've talked so much about our emotions and our feelings and how to express them and cope with them in healthy ways, for you, for your family, for those around you. It's so important. And our emotional health is so tied with our physical health, and all the pieces and parts. And just like I teach all my nursing students, when you got something wrong with the patient, it's usually not just one thing wrong. There's usually several things wrong, because they're always connected. You're in one body, and they're always going to be connected by something. And you have to think about that with your body. Sometimes those physical symptoms and physical issues that you're having are being caused by something that's emotionally, something up here, something in your heart, something emotionally is contributing to that. And we know that all that makes things 10 times worse a lot of the times when we have that physical issue. So that's why I talk about each and every one. I'm so passionate about each and every one, and about helping people talk about those things, explore those things, and find healthy and sustainable ways to care for themselves in all those areas.
I love it. It's the stuff I love to talk about and listen to.
Yes.
and hear people's stories of how they find healing in these different ways that work for them. It includes the spiritual component. It includes the physical component, right? Eating, moving their body, whatever. So just understanding all these different components and how you're a whole person. Businesses, organizations, workplaces have to understand these are whole people. So, girl, I could keep talking. I know. we gotta close it up. Thank you so much, everyone. Bye,
You're
Rosemary.
welcome.
Thank you, Facebook user. Thank you for sharing. Mackenzie, yes, you have your art of feeling.
Yeah.
It's amazing. I know what you're doing. It's really great, and really helping people kind of go through these feelings and these emotions and process things in a way that's comfort and healing for them. And it's a safe space that you're creating for them. And I mean, I just love what our community is doing. So much talent, and the way we surround each other and support each other to really create this fantastic energy. And I love how, from what I gather is we're all energetic beings. We really are. Okay. Before we close up, let's talk about your coaching, reaching out to you, reach out to Alex. You've heard how she flows, how she lets it go. I mean, and I love it. Who doesn't want a piece of you, a part of you, what you're doing? I know I do.
Yes.
But I mean, your work is incredible. So how can people reach out to you if they need your assistance, if they need your service, if they need your spice?
Yes, if you want to add some spice to your life, definitely reach out to me. I am on all the socials. I'm on the daily live stream. You can always catch a show. It's at 10 a.m. Eastern. And then if you go to my if you go to my profile, you can find all the different time zones. Because that was another thing I had to learn was people live in different time zones and how to, do all of that. So that was different for me. But you can catch me on all the socials, catch any of my shows, any of my videos, leave a comment. I always like to leave comments back. Send me a message, friend request me. You can always go to my website, getyourspice.net, and there you can learn more about me. You can learn about all the different programs that I offer. I do individual, I do group, I have 90-day programs, I've got 6-month programs, I've got individual sessions, whatever might work for you in this time. We can make something work for you. There you can jump on my calendar as well. But most of the time, I like it when people just reach out and say hello to me. Is kind of the big.
You're sweet and humble.
I do. I just like people to send me a message, and I mean, I like to know what other people are up to and like how I can support them. That's really what I love doing. So feel free. You can always reach out to me. And I love being a guest on live streams. I love doing speaking events. So if that's something that you need and you need any of these topics talked about, I am more than welcome or more than happy to come or be a guest on a live stream or a podcast. I love it. So yeah, I'm usually up for anything. I like to keep things spicy. I like to to keep busy and to try new things. So
and relatable. So relatable. So important. So all right, Alex, thank you so much for bringing it tonight, Mama. Hanging out and sharing. I knew this would be a great conversation. We had like amazing people in the chat. Thank you, chat, for everyone.
Thank you, chat. Yes, thank you, everybody.
Jenny, thank you so much. Mackenzie, the best mod ever. You stay excellent. Rosemary, I know you left. Teresa, if you're still hanging out, thank you so much. Streaming by the stream. Kenny D, have a great one. Thank you, friends. I'm going to, I don't have all my things, but it's been a long night. So I think we're going to go ahead and say our goodbyes. Let me go ahead and play my little background outro and we're going to say goodbye. Goodbye.
Thank you. Bye.